All right, so the initial question was, are we all created equal?
Are we all created equal in on God's earth for what we are predestined to do? I can't be equal to what it is that God gave me.
Okay, so what is the difference?
Okay, I guess to break it down, if I had to kind of illustrate a difference, it would be God equally gave us things that are relevant to us manifesting.
So if that's nature,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How much does nurture?
Nurture plays a huge role in it. I could have the gift of being, I think I said earlier, a coder. My person code the next great opportunity for us to make advancements in the computer age.
Right.
But I could have been born on the south side of Chicago.
Okay.
You're a coder who have the same or similar gifts and talents that could be manifested, but you were born in Silicon Valley.
Right. Right.
Are we equal?
I think the whole issue is the fact that because that one who was born in Chicago didn't have the environment to nurture what he had or she had in him, you'll never know. So you can't measure that, because if you're born in an environment where that's not even an option, right? That means you never got a fair chance to even try.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying is it's possible, but it's not measurable to the fact that we can actually prove it or disprove it because of the variables outside of the gift itself.
Right. It's like if I have Michael Jordan talent, but I never see a basketball, right? If I never get a basketball opportunity, then you can't say that I'm equal to him in basketball. Like, because we're only seeing how this individual chooses to manifest their greatness. Now, they may be more skilled, talented, or whatever in that area, but they still made a conscious choice to pursue this thing. So it's almost like, I mean, we can talk about the it factor and all that, but there's something else other than the talent that
I agree.
That makes them say, nah, it's gonna be this, right? As opposed to, you know, I just always had a basketball in my hand. Ever since I was born, my daddy put a basketball in my, you know what I mean? Like, if we want to be honest, Michael Jordan probably really wanted to be a great baseball player. You know what I mean? But his obsession just so happened to be basketball. And then when he stops and tries to play baseball, it's like, nah, this ain't the same fulfillment, right? Like, whether you're successful or not, there's a disconnect in that success. Go back to basketball.
But I know we had a conversation earlier where we noticed a kid that may have been, born with Down syndrome. Would he necessarily be equal in what it is that I'm gifted to do? Not necessarily.
So, okay.
So that the word equal I guess that's the
All right, so we got to take it.
challenge.
All right, so okay. So you brought up that scenario.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take it there. This may be a little bit borderline controversial or whatever, but it's worth saying. We're calling him a child, but he was more than likely a grown man.
He was an adult.
Being led by the hand by his mother or caregiver, whoever the lady was. What is it that he would possess for his condition, right? And I'm not trying to exploit that, but when we say that we're created equal, I think we're talking about some sort of ability, and in your case, if you're saying a baseline ability to do something that will, and correct me if I'm wrong, that will contribute to society or the world and or give us an opportunity to be fulfilled by that contribution.
Correct.
Okay. But if you are someone who genetically you do not have the capability, you know what I mean, to say, I'm going to do this with my life because I enjoy this and I want to do this for others. Are we automatically exempting them out of the equal conversation, or are we gonna give the kind of answer, and I understand why people do it, are we gonna give the kind of answer that's like, well, in his own way, he's, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay, so let me do this.
okay,
Just to add a little more flavor to the conversation.
all right,
I just looked up on dictionary.com, equal, being the same in quantity, size, degree, or value. Evenly or fairly balanced, which is what I think I was alluding to earlier.
Okay.
The last one says having the ability or resources to meet, and it says in parentheses, a challenge.
and that's where I'm like, no, we are not. And even if we are, we definitely don't grow up in equal scenarios.
Okay.
Right.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No.
My question is, was the ability there? If the ability was there, then it gives some sort of an indication
Right.
that there is some system of equality in our baseline, where we start. But then, how much does power play a role in that as well? Because I heard you allude to systemic things that may be systemic that hinder us from even having the mindset of getting there. Not that the ability necessarily wasn't there.
Right.
But power, how much of a role does power play in that? And what I mean by that is, we sometimes as African Americans still say that our people have slave mentality. Okay, slave mentality is a mental mindset that won't allow us to see past some of the things that hinder us and keep us from moving forward.
Right.
That's because of the power structure that brought us here in the first place. But when I think of it, through the generations that were able to weather through slavery, many of us have been able to rise and overcome the obstacles where many of us have not. Does it take away from the equality of the fact that we all were born, or were we born with the baseline to be able to achieve it, whether we understood what we had or not? Whether we understood what we had or whether we did not understand what we had.
Okay.
The power structure is what made it unequal. I guess in a nutshell is what I'm saying is the power structure made it unequal, not the ability.
Okay. But if we go with that, now we're saying that whatever we do not achieve is because of the power structure, right? You see what I'm saying? It's like if we go with that, now we're gonna say that, you know what, some of us, we can just gonna try as hard as we can, but we ain't gonna make it because of how it's set up. It's not set up for us to win. Now, I'll be honest with you, it's days I feel that way, and then there's other
And there
days,
is some truth behind that.
right, but then there's other days I'm like, that can't be right.
But yeah,
if I am created to fulfill or to manifest this purpose, right? Like sometimes the struggle is so real for me, it's almost like I'm teaching. I sometimes feel like a part of my journey and purpose is to teach my children how to suffer. You know what I mean? It's like, sometimes it's that hard and I'm just like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but they're watching me, I can't break. All right, let me just keep going. Let me just keep coming home. Let me just keep going to work. Let me just keep whatever it is, whatever positive image, whatever positive words, whatever I can give to keep going. That's how it feels, because I'm like, dang man, the structure is set up to where the powers or the whatever the system is like, nah, we don't want you. So one thing that we want to do, we want to have you join in on the conversation at some point.
yeah, this is geared to be interactive. We want to hear from you. We hope you like the content, but we want to hear from you. We want to know exactly what you think about the conversations that we're having.